I mean, it's kind of distracting to me, but I'll be fine. And by the way, you probably know this from your background, don't you, in education?
Yeah, we've done a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like they're very, very interesting though, and each one's a little different.
Yeah. Let me make sure we hit record. I'm pretty sure. Yep, I did. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. No problem. Okay, I wanted to first start off by showing you guys these these 3 little points about the 4 DISC tests. Does anybody know what DISC stands for? Can anybody recall them?
I know, but I can't.
The D is probably the most. Did anybody take a guess for the D? Dominant. Is there anybody that has never taken the DISC test?
I don't think I've ever taken it.
Is there anybody that has taken it? You have? Which one were you?
I see in D.
Okay, cool. All right, so here's where I wanted to start off. First of all, I wanted to just explain something really simple about this, and that is that even though it would be amazing for each of you to know which one you are, you'll probably see as we go through the slides, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I am totally that one. Think of it as discovering which of the 4 you have a dominant type, but also I wanted to, coming from a technology background, one of the first things we do is we identify who your target client is or your target audience is. Even though this is for you as realtors, this is not about you. This is about your clients. So I thought to myself, what's the best way to give you guys the most value to help you with your clients? And I'm telling you, just my top 1 is actually a high D. And since I'm a high D predominantly all the way through and through, I've tried to fake it. I've tried to drink a lot of beer. I've tried to mellow me out. I've tried to sleep. I've tried food. I've tried everything. I can't change my nature. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. When I deal with somebody that doesn't know anything or care to realize how I function or how I tick, especially on a long term, it's very, very difficult. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because you're going to have clients that have their inherent nature and there's nothing they can do about it. Here's a question for you to think about, because a lot of people get this mixed up and they don't see the power of this type of a tool. The difference between a behavior type and a personality type. Is there anyone that would like to take a stab at that? While you're doing that, let me shut these blinds just a little more. That reflection is right in my eye pupils. Some of you guys who like this kind of stuff, take a stab at it. I'm assuming you do, Rachel. What's the difference between a behavior type and a personality type? That made it worse. Oh my gosh. What do you think? What do you guys think? This is actually really, really cool because good.
Say kind of like that. You're born with one, and
yes.
kind of learn.
Which one do you think you're born with? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys ever seen like a pit bull that is very, very sweet? Now, what you're dealing with the pit bull, his pit bull make is a nature. It's a behavior type. Like he cannot help himself. A lion, that's a behavior type. But a pit bull, that's a behavior type. But if he is sweet, that's his personality. So his nature is to be a killer. His personality is different. So who said the one you're born with? Who said that? Oh, you did? Anybody else want to take a shot at? What's the difference between behavior type and personality? Anybody? Well, since y'all asked a good question, check this out. And this is actually, before I show y'all this is really, really important, because what you'll discover is you'll find somebody's personality, but as you get to know them, you'll realize their behavior type is this different than I ever thought. The reason this is important is because your behavior type is your nature. So we got some really fun stuff to go through. I personally love this kind of stuff. And also, something that most of you guys don't even know about, you definitely don't know in this class. I had a consulting business for probably 15 years, consulted companies, CEOs, management teams, all sorts of stuff. I even helped Menora Medical Board of Executives, and I would consult on all sorts of stuff. I consulted a company owner who had about 112 employees. He paid $25,000 for 2 weeks for the disc test to come in. A month later, no one remembered anything. So I created my own thing, and that's a whole nother subject. This was probably 15, 17 years ago. But the reason I'm telling y'all this is because there is some of this is amazing and some of it that's easy to grasp, but I wanted to give you guys the slides, and I will turn this into PDF and email it to you guys because I'm going to give you guys some pretty simple to understand information. But I wanted you guys to know that I have a lot of years invested into this. Since I am a software engineer and I specialize in AI, so I create robot brains, I actually used to create software assessment tests for companies like this. But depending on what kind of metrics they wanted to discover, I design stuff like this for a living. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because when you identify somebody's nature, somebody's behavior type, that gives you the biggest key to build rapport. And let me just put it to you this way. A behavior type and somebody's nature, you're literally born with it. You can't help it. You're going to exhibit certain behavior types. And if you as an agent are conflicting with somebody's behavior type, they will, what do the kids say nowadays? That's cringe, Dad. They will cringe. They will despise talking to you. You will rub them the wrong way, and they definitely may or may not come back to you as a realtor. All right, so check out this definition. Are you guys with me? Or are you guys, I know that you guys are all ADHD, so this is to me like I'll ignore everybody on their phone or whatever, but check this out. Personality is referred to, I want y'all to think about this. Combination of values, views. Do you have different views than the person next to you, maybe? Those of you who are married, Rachel, Darren, y'all have different views on a couple things?
Not at all.
Or does he just agree with you on everything? How about set responses? Like if somebody says something to Darren, do you respond exactly the same or vice versa?
Yeah,
You don't even know where to start, I guess.
So, Darren,
Easy going.
Same person. He's so chill.
Well, that's his personality type. But you'll see here in a little bit, he may have a behavior type that would shock us. And this is so cool to know. But check out what it means. Patterns of thought and characteristics, which are relatively stable aspects of an individual. These are characteristics, but watch the behavior. Behavior on the other hand, is how that individual comes across to others in their actions. It really doesn't matter what your personality type. This is how you come across, and check it out. In summary, behavior is what we do. Now, you're going to have clients. Have you had clients like get hit with some of the worst kind of inspection reports or some kind of, and they just go, all right, we got it. And then there's others that what they do is have an absolute, not a meltdown, but they are wrecked. Does that make sense? So that's somebody's behavior type. That's not personality. It just hits them a certain way. Personality is how we think, how we feel, and why we tend to behave in a certain way. So what we want to specialize is help. I'm going to give you this. The whole presentation is to help you understand why your clients, what they do, why they do, and how to read them quickly so you can begin to build rapport. I want y'all to see this statement right here. Oh. If you understand a person and what they do, by the way, this is funny what I'm about to tell you. And those of you who are single, if you really want to accelerate your communication, your connection with your spouse, if you understand their behavior type and you build trust, and then you sell the way they need to buy, you communicate the way they need to be heard. Check this out. So let's get right into it. First, I want to start off real quickly because I know I'm not going to go over in time, but we're going to fly through some of this. This is proposed in 1928 by a psychologist, The Emotions of Normal People. I want you guys to focus on this. From his research, he theorized that behavior expression of emotions could be categorized into four primary types. So I want you to hear this. Behavioral expression of emotions. Behavior expression of emotions. Dominance, inducement, which is technically they call it the influencer. C, submission, and S, submission, and C, compliance. Check this out. So let's get right into this. So this is the high D we're talking about. So I want to just start off by giving you guys 3 key things for each one of these and just some details. And this is not the personality type. This is their behavior type. This is literally the difference between, for example, you wouldn't ask a fish to fly through the sky, and you wouldn't ask a horse to swim underwater, and you wouldn't, ask an eagle to hunt or to gather nuts, and you wouldn't ask a squirrel to, fly over sky clouds. So everybody has a nature, just like an animal has its own nature. This is the D. They call it the driver. Now, I want you guys to understand this. If you have a high D, they care about one main thing as a client, your results. And notice it doesn't say hand holding. It doesn't say long discussion. And I want y'all to hear this from a D. If you ever know that somebody's a high D and you go into their house, you go into their office, you go into their presentation setting where you're going to connect with them as an agent, this is going to sound really bad, but you have to understand how high Ds think. They want results. They actually like a challenge and they want you to get it done. The last thing a high D wants is for you to ask them how their kids are. And I know for anybody that is not a high D, that sounds brutal. Is this person hateful? What's wrong with this person? A high D is their whole stream of consciousness is focused on results. Do they think about their kids? Yes, but they think about their kids from a different lens. They're trying to bring results and affect their lives to help their kids. They don't want you to ask them about the trophy on the shelf or the picture of their kid or how they're feeling or how their dog is. Never do that to a high D because number one, I'll just stop there. Anyhow, I want you guys to check this out. If you are high ADHD type personality type and you jump all over the place and you go into a setting talking to a high D, if you don't maintain focus in your presentation, even in your phone call, it's beyond frustrating. It's hard. And check this out, the speed. Most of the time, if you deal with the high D, you can tell by the way they start asking questions and they want to hurry up the conversation. One of the reasons for that is they want you in and out quickly. So to somebody that's a high D, if you go for a listing presentation, by the way, if you can keep it as short as possible, and I don't want to tell you 5 minutes, but 5 minutes would be a high D's dream. But if you can keep it as short as possible, literally, if they're talking to you, get out of their house, something magical happens in their brain. They literally think you're a genius. They're like, this person gets me. Why? You got in and you got out. Check out these things at the very bottom. They're very direct, very decisive, get things done. Check out the I. This is most realtors. And by the way, I thought about putting a picture of Tim up there because that's his personality. Check out these. Over here, people, connection, energy. We call that the influencer, but they love to be around people, enthusiasm, and influence. Now check this out. Would you agree just from the get-go, dealing with this person is different than dealing with this type of client? This person, even though high I's want it quickly, relatively quickly, they're wanting to have fun. They want to have a party. And so check out some of the characteristics on this person. They're enthusiastic. So if the moment you start to connect with the client and you understand that they're enthusiastic, they're like, "That's awesome, man. This is great. Oh man, that's so cool of you." High D's don't talk that way because they're actually, you can kind of think of a high D as like somebody that is military in their thinking. And I know that sounds but military or militancy is one of the greatest analogies I know to describe a high D, just in the way the mind thinks. And this person, the biggest thing you can remember is a party. I'm going to tell you guys some things to do with the client like this, some things not to do with the client like this if you want to build rapport. Check us out. They love excitement, positivity. They enjoy people and connection. They are persuasive people, inspire, and they communicate well. So the high I inspires, and they're very communicative. They're optimistic. They see the possibilities. Make it fun, make it personal, and make it memorable. If you want high eyes, by the way, how many of you guys would say you're a high eye in here? Are you guys alive or like?
We need to see what that say first.
Does anybody relate to the high eye?
Don't remember what letters that was.
Okay. Does anybody identify with the high D so far? Lisa? Anybody else? You do? What about the high I? Would you guys agree, the two of you, with the high D stuff? Like just, if something just drags on, you're kind of like, what were you going to say, Lacey? More so far? Okay. Then these next two may hit home with you. All right. So the S, we call it the supporter. Check this out. Very, very different than this. Very, very different. As a matter of fact, if you can just, by learning how to listen to people's mannerisms, the things that they're expressing to you that is important, you can pick this up real quickly. One of the things about a supporter, check this out on the top right, people first, always. I have literally taught this in settings where when I'm teaching on this slide, I will see S personalities start to cry. I feel seen, you know. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is literally their nature. And if you can identify who they are, you don't want to treat them. Does anybody have some clients like that? They just look at you and you just feel like they want to hug you kind of thing? That's a high S. Are you that, Lacey? Well, let's read through it. Maybe this will help you. Patient, good listeners, who gives other time. That's not me. Is that you, Lisa? Like you just want to listen forever? Loyal, even though I'm loyal, deeply committed and dedicated to those they trust. Yeah, but not in that way. Dependable, you can count on them to follow through. Steady, they bring calm, stability, and consistency. Caring, they genuinely cares about people and their well-being. Support is strength. This is how they see it. So people, relationships, harmony. People that hate conflict. If you're a high D, what is conflict? Like, it doesn't even register. Well, high S's, this is very, very important. Check out the C. We call the C compliance, or there's different things, calculation, calculator, the analyzer. This is a big one. And I will tell you guys, especially when you get into higher price points, make sure that your client is not a high C and then you're trying to treat him like this on high S, because this person, you do ask about the trophy. You do ask about, how's those kids? Oh my gosh, I saw your Facebook post. How's your puppy? How are you feeling? You don't have to try to be superficial or fake, but this is their language. This is their nature. When you talk like that to them, immediate. We'll get into that here in a second. But with the high C, check out some of their characteristics. Analytical, they think things through before making decisions. Is there anybody that you have as a client that just asks a ton of questions? They'll say, can you give me that in a report? Can I see that in writing? With a high C behavior type, the more information you give them, the better. The more information you give them, that feeds their craving for information and analytical perspective. The more information you empower them with, the more they think you care because of this very thing right here. They think things through, and the more information you give them, the less risk they're taking to be or to make a mistake. A high C's worst nightmare is to be erroneous and make any kind of a failure or mistake, especially if it was an information or data-based information detail. Detail-oriented notices the fine print and important details. You may have some clients, if you're high I, you may have some clients and go, that's not what it says. This is what it says. Can you please explain that to me? Thank God for ChatGPT. But the cool thing from now on is, one of the things that I want to leave you guys with, if you guys remember anything, you'll have these slides. I'll give them to you. But this is the coolest thing, and Lisa, you'll love this. once you start to somewhat identify your client of one of the 4 behavior types, take it to ChatGPT and say, here's what objection I'm handling. My client is a high C. I need to communicate in language. Give me a couple of scripts of how to approach them concerning this issue. And this builds not only incredible rapport, but remember what that first slide said. They buy or sell them in the way they need to buy. Logical, they rely on facts. And by the way, the high D does not rely on facts. The high D will gather just enough facts and go with a hunch in their gut, and they go, I know what this is, get out of my face. That's basically not the way the high C. Lisa, are you kind of some of that way? A little bit?
On D?
Yeah. How about you, Christian?
Yeah, I'm probably more C than D, but those are my main two.
But you still have that, like, all right, let's move fast, let's get done, boom, 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 boom. The reason I'm telling you guys this is because even though it sounds ignorant of the high D, you will have clients that are that way, and they don't need much to make a decision. They will eat the consequences, they'll live with the consequences. They just make a decision and go with it. Here's another little detail about dealing with the high D. When you think somebody's a high C and you discover they're a high D, and they tell you, all right, I'm ready to sign, don't keep giving them more information. When somebody's ready to move forward, basically what they've said to you is, stop selling me, let's get this done. And one of the things that I was going to tell you is, have you guys ever heard of a book called Blink? It's called Blink. It just talks about how the human mind works. And there's a thing called in there, the principle of thin sliced cheese, which basically says, if you've tasted one slice of the block, you've tasted the whole block of cheese. The reason that the principle there is that's how high D's function. They get just enough and they know what to do. High C's are the opposite. High C's can take a whole year, sometimes 2 years, to even make a decision. But if you have high C people, just keep giving them information. Always make yourself available to give them more information, give them key things, answer their questions, but approach them from curiosity. Expect high standards in accuracy, systematic. They prefer organized systems, processes, and procedures. Information for a high C builds confidence, and facts build trust. Isn't that weird? With the high D, sometimes your toughness and your showing you'll do what it takes, that's how you build trust with the high D. The ability to make it fun, that's how you build trust with the high I. The ability to do it together, that's how you build trust with the high S. And with the C, facts. They want facts, not promises. They value quality over speed, needs details to decide. Expertise earns loyalty if you can show yourself to be competent. By the way, guys, with ChatGPT and AI, I still program and build software, but I've built myself 2 coding agents that help me design anything. So now I can build anything. What used to take me 10 years, I can do it in about a day. The reason I'm telling you guys is because the how is no longer an issue. If you need information on being an expertise in something with AI now, there's no excuse for you not to be an expert, not to have everything you need to know. So let's get into this a little bit. Check this out. This is what each of the 4 want. The driver, can you get me what I want, basically? That's the main question when you're dealing with the high D. Hi. Are we going to enjoy this? Are we going to enjoy working together? A high S, am I safe with you? A high C, can I trust your information? These are the 4 core questions. And by the way, if you don't answer that question to that behavior type, ultimately, they may not know it, they may not say it, and you may not know it. But there is a miss. There's like a what do you call it? There's a disconnect, and there's something that's not hitting. One of the things that my MAPS coach says on occasion, he's like, what that is you're out of alignment. He goes, we need to bring this into alignment. He always goes like this. When I see his hands, I'm like, oh, here we go. And this is what you want. So you don't want to be out of alignment. You want to be in alignment with your client. So let's go a little deeper Any questions, by the way, or comments about any of this? Are you guys still paying attention? Maybe.
You have to.
I'm
Hard
kidding.
to- hard to work.
Yeah, I know, and I know I talk a lot. So check out these little overview characteristics here. This is at the very, very bottom. So this is the name or their core thing. This is the pace, and this is the ultimate thing that they want. And again, you don't have to take notes. I'll give this to you, but a driver wants things fast and they want results. A high I influencer, they want it fun and they want relationship. High S, as you can tell, this seems extremely perfect to be a realtor. But the problem with that is, don't discount yourself if you either of the other three. The challenge that these guys have is the population. The high D is the lowest. It's the rarest of all the four. It's probably less than 10% of the population. But there are a ton of high Ds, a ton of high S's, and a ton of high C's. So the key is not which one you are. The key is literally discovering what your client is and learn how to communicate in their quadrant. Let me tell you a secret real quickly, because Laura's brain's going to blow up.
Great. It already has.
I'm kidding. There's one core truth about this whole teaching that if you understand one root issue, I call it the first principles thinking. Has anybody heard of first principles thinking? You deduce everything to its most basic fundamental root issue, and then you build from there. It's like a tree trunk, and then has branches and leaves. A lot of times we try to teach people the fruit, the leaves, the branches, instead of like one core thing. Here's the one core thing to the DISC test, and it'll help you understand the whole thing. In order to build rapport, you have to move yourself into the behavior type communication style. That's it. That's a core thing. Communicate with the high D, high S, high I, high C in their type of language that they need. And that's how you build immediate rapport. High S, they're the supporter. They're calm. They want security. High C, analyzer, careful. They want accuracy. That's their main thing. So by a show of hands, which ones of you now, just learning just a little bit, would identify with a little bit of the high D? Anybody? Christian, Lisa, Taylor? A little bit? How about that?
What if we identify with all of them? Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you can, definitely. The question, for me is, because teaching it to you to learn about you is a whole different thing. And there's definitely some tests. I may even create one for our office. I don't know, with these types of questions. I may do it just for the tool, because it really is powerful. But the key is obviously learn how to identify which one your client is, so that, like, I would agree with Darren. Like, I think you have an ability to migrate to either and connect with just about anything. That's the whole cool thing about this tool, is just understanding somebody's nature and how to just like,
When
you
you
know,
take that test, it's
communicate.
not just like it's not black and white. It's on a graph where it's like mine were mostly high D,
Yeah.
high C, and then mostly D. Then the rest of them were low. But it's not like, oh,
You're one of the, yeah,
So a lot of times people have multiple.
Totally.
Because obviously you're gonna kind of ebb and flow based off, again, who's not like a supporter, who's not
Yeah.
certain people
yeah,
that like that are in your circle. Also too, it changes, I think, based off of if in like your professional world versus like your personal life. Like I may be more results driven.
Yes.
Business and work.
totally.
However, in my personal life, I may not be as much of a driver in that situation.
Totally. And here's the cool thing about your client. They're not shifting between personality types. They're not shifting between behavior types. They're not shifting between communication styles. Your client is in full-blown them mode. They're doing them. It's your job to kind of understand a little bit characteristics and just begin to approach them from that communication style. Is there anybody that identifies with the high S? Supporter? I would totally agree with that. How about the high C? Anybody? You do too? Cool. Is there anybody that doesn't know? Rachel, which one would you say you identify with? Same thing as it. How about you, Lacey? Okay, awesome.
So, quick question. C is what we might call engineer brain.
Yeah.
I had a guy call me I was working with, and I kind of missed the C part on him. He called me in the middle of a transaction. We had a 53-minute conversation
Mm,
about how he needed to know every single thing, every email, every communication I was doing
mm.
with the title company, with the other agent. Did I
Whoa.
email this? Did I email that? He had to know for sure. And
Yeah,
I can do that,
yeah, yeah,
but he felt out of control.
yes,
He wanted to be in control.
Yeah.
Or at least know what the hell was going on.
yeah. And until some people know this kind of stuff, they take it personally. One of the biggest things that they teach when you go to this on a corporate level is it's called the 100 rule of revelation, which is, and then they typically list it out. Number one, do not take it personally. Number two, do not take it personally. Number three, do not take it personally. Number 99, do not take it personally. Number 100, do not take it personally. Never take it personally. But until you don't, you know that you may feel mistrusted or you may feel, and it also works in working relationships on teams and in staffs and stuff like that. If you have somebody that's a leader that's a high D and people don't know about behavior types, everyone will take it personally and think this guy is a jerk. That's happened to me before. Maybe I am a jerk, I don't know. But all I know is knowing that's his behavior type will help you totally. Now, we're going to get into some of this. I want you guys to check this out. Just a little bit of review, but some of this is normal, the high D client. They want to move quickly. They also will interrupt what you're saying. You'll be in mid explanation. They'll just interrupt and go, all right, I've heard enough of that. What about this? And is that rude? Yeah, probably. Is that normal to them? Yeah. If you're wanting to build a report, this is the type of function their brain is in. They make decisions rapidly, doesn't like long explanations. They want confidence. So you walk in there and you be confident. Doesn't like wasting time, and they want the best outcome, even though everybody else does as well. The reason it's important to say wants the best outcome is because they want the best outcome. This is going to sound brutal. In spite of anybody's feelings getting hurt, what the weather's like, how you feel, what things look like, it doesn't matter. They want the best outcome. So with the high D, you almost have to be selfless. And man, that sounds really bad. But check this out. What they need confidence. Here's another thought. When you're dealing with the high D, the more direct you can be with them, the more they will respect you.
That's the best client to have.
And for somebody that's a high S,
They're quick.
it may be very, very, very tormenting and devastating for you to have to be direct with somebody. But for a high D, the more direct you are, the more they feel you're being honest and transparent. So if you're beating around the bush and trying to explain things, they're going to be like, what are you hiding? Speed. They also need strong recommendations. Here's something, if you guys are learning this. Strong recommendations, when you're dealing with the high D, give 2, maybe 3 bullet points as options, and that's it. Don't give them a 20-point list. 2 to 3 options, because they want your best recommendations. Their behavior type is like, you put in the work, you're the expert, I'm going to pay you to help me. Give me what you have discovered, purge everything else and just give me the top 1 option, maybe 2 or 3. Efficiency, leadership, and results. Here's things for you not to do. Don't do these. So if you want to build rapport, get to the point, be confident, get to the point, respect their time. Most high Ds are going to be slammed on, they've got stuff to do. So get to the point, give recommendations, and move fast. Don't ever ramble. Don't be indecisive. Don't over explain. Don't waste time, and don't be passive. If you say, oh, we'll see. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. You pretty much told a high D their livelihood, especially as home clients, like their livelihood and all of their financial risk is up in the balance, whether you're going to figure it out or not, or you're undecided how you're going to handle it. You don't want to be passive. Why do you say it's one of the best clients to have?
Mine just went under contract in 3 days.
So you feel like you have a high D?
Oh, yeah, I do.
And what was some of the things that they did? Like, is it a male, female?
Just straight to the point.
And
He's
it's like,
ready to buy everything. He had a lender. He had everything. We met Wednesday. We went under contract yesterday.
you feel like you had to go faster than your typical others?
10 o'clock at night. So just, but I answered it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Chat at 10:30.
That's awesome. Hi, I talks a lot. Do you know any clients that talk a lot? Do you know any realtors that talk a lot? Are any of you talkers? I'm kidding. They love stories. Stories connect. Friendly, excited, emotional. They love dreaming. And with the high I, asking them about their dreams is like golden medicine for them. Like asking them, you know, what they're excited about, what they're passionate about, what they want in their life. Forget it. You want a friend for life, asking a high I. But check this out, as a realtor, the high I's get easily distracted. And think of it in terms of you, like a buyer, for example. They're having you search this type of house out. Next thing you know, and we've seen this happen, you have a buyer, maybe they don't have an exclusive buyer yet with you, but they literally go on a whole different path and find an entirely new different realtor. What happened there? They're having a party. They got distracted, and literally the first shiny thing came in their path. They dropped you. It wasn't intentional, but somebody else was providing some fun at the moment, signed them up. The reason this is important is because the high I client does get distracted. So if you can kind of pin them down a little bit, because you're going to need to, they do get distracted because they're in party mode. Check this out. What they need is connection, encouragement, excitement, vision, fun, celebration, and energy. I know this because I'm married to this woman right here. Loves dreaming, gets distracted, and she loves excitement, fun, celebration, build rapport, smile with them, laugh, dream with them, tell stories, celebrate wins. Don't ever be cold. Don't be robotic. Rush them. Don't ever rush them. Don't ever ignore their emotions. And don't ever kill excitement. Have you ever done anything like that with a client? No? High S. This is potentially you, Haley, just a little bit. Quiet, thoughtful, patient, family oriented. Are you family oriented, Haley? Are you family oriented a little bit? Are you patient? I'm probably not patient.
Some things are more patient than others. It's almost what boys are up to.
Loyal. They don't like pressure. They want stability. Basically, think of it as a slow hand-holding pace. It's like no pressure, and they want stability. So when a high S may go, can we go grab coffee to talk about this inspection report? Where your guy may have said, can you send it to me? Let me look at it and I'll call you, or I'll text you the one thing or two things or whatever. I don't even want to talk to you. Just text me or email it to me and I'll send it to you. A high S may say, hey, can you come over this weekend? I'd love to have you at my house. Let's discuss this and just be thoughtful and just make sure that we're together on this kind of thing. That's a high S. What they need is patience, consistency, kindness, reassurance, stability. They need time. Your guy didn't need time. They need trust. What things not to do. Well, let's start with build rapport. You listen to them. You slow down. You check in often. High D's don't need you to check in.
When he wants something, he wants something.
They will let you know when they're checking in. But a high S's are very, very different. The more you check in with the high S, there's a girl named Mandy Rowe. She's a new realtor in this office. She's my sister-in-law. I've been around her for 25 years. My wife and I have been married for 24. She is a high S. She calls you on your birthday. She checks in with you if you're down, if you're sick, if you had a rough weekend. She'll call my wife and I. She'll make a video. Every year for 25 years, she has sent us personally a video of her singing happy birthday. and she gets her kids involved. And then when it's her birthday, I feel like the jerk because I don't sing, I don't send video messages, I just text. Happy birthday, we'll see you at lunch today. We all take each other to lunch. But this is totally her. Checking in often with the high S is literally like medicine for their soul. Reassure them. It doesn't mean they're wimpy. It doesn't mean anything. It's just their whole nature is to be careful and take things slowly and be very comfortable. So also be dependable. Like just reassure them, hey, if you need my help, if you need, think of it, supporter, they're a supporter. It's also their, you guys remember the love language concept? They provide support. That's their love language. They want support. Things not to do. Never pressure them, rush them, never surprise them. Don't change plans constantly, and don't ever create unnecessary stress for them. The high C. I'm probably a high D and a little bit of C for sure. A lot of questions. This is the client that Darren mentioned. They take notes. They want data, notices details. They double check things. And it's important to know this because if a client is double checking you, especially now, they may say, hey, the information you sent me and the statements you made, I checked with ChatGPT and this is what it said. Or can you clarify? You feel called out. It's just a high C. Their brain is analyzing. They are very slow to make decisions and they love accuracy. That's what they want. They're basically saying, I'm inviting you to join me on my journey to find accuracy. And if that's not your behavior type, that sounds lame. But if that's their behavior type, that's the only way they're going to communicate. What they need facts, details, organization, logic, documentation, competence, precision. Here's the cool thing about this, guys. The high C, every time I remember getting trained in this probably 30 years ago. Man, that's a long time. I realized, Taylor, that's probably way longer than you and Christian have been alive. Like, dang. And one of the things they said about the high C client is that you're going to struggle to find enough information. You're going to struggle to find enough documentation, enough proof. High C's love a very, very, very powerful accelerator for the mind of a high C is testimonials. If you can get a testimonial of something you're saying, another person's third party, experience, documentation for them in the form of testimonials. But what I was gonna say with that is now with AI, guys, there's literally no reason you cannot provide documentation, explanation, articles, insightful type writings, just whatever to explain this to IC. Competence is very important in precisions. Things, what they need to build rapport. A high C, bring numbers, explain the process, answer thoroughly, be organized, follow through. What they don't need is for you to be guessing because high C's, that's like their worst nightmare. It's like, if you're like, well, I think this, and you're just guessing it or sound like you're winging it, a high C is just gonna look at you and go, wow, I made a mistake letting you be my agent. I don't need you to wing. Even if you are winging it, guys, with a high C, never admit that. But B, can anybody think of what's the best approach to dealing with the high C is? What are some things that come to mind? Yes, that's right.
Yeah, you're saying all the seller's disclosures before the showing.
Yeah.
The HOA information.
Yeah.
You probably can't do, like you said, you can't have enough information.
Yeah.
Throw it all out.
And they look at that high C's look at that as, I clicked on it. Sorry guys. High C's look at that as where'd it go? Is being organized. In organization to a high C, you're basically showing them you're trustworthy in your information. But showing up chaotic and your presentation has like a coffee stain at the bottom and kind of looks like you just put it together, they're gonna look at you and go, like, so here's where I was going with that. The main thing to deal with the high C, and this can be one of the most difficult, like I'm sure you would love everybody to be like that client. Whereas with you had to invest hours maybe or whatever. And the biggest key for dealing with the high C is to be ultra prepared. Preparation is the biggest thing because that just says competence and precision. So back to this. Don't exaggerate because high C's, man. Is there anybody else that thinks they're a little bit of high C in there?
I think just some of it,
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
like details.
Exaggeration is hard because you think in forms of measurements and numbers and quantities and exactness. And to hear somebody exaggerate or kind of wing it or even guess, it's like, what? Would you agree with that, Christian? Or even skip details or pressure them. A high C and a high S, this one, they're both the slower paced. The high D, the high I's. The high I is fast as well as the D. The S and the C are slower paced, so take your time. Now, I want to end it with 4 slides and tell you what the core thing that each one of these are, and then one little fun slide and we'll be done. Maybe we'll have a little bit of discussion. So a high D, their secret need is definitely, I need someone competent. And for a high D, competent doesn't mean like you got licensed, you know the MLS, you know the trends of the market, you know how to negotiate. Competent for a high D has to do with you're tough enough, strong enough, and determined enough to get me the results that I want. You're competent enough to get me the results that I want and when I want them. That's the biggest key to a high D is when I want them. And they typically want stuff yesterday, right, Lisa? They want stuff yesterday. High I, their secret need is I want this experience to be enjoyable. And by the way, a high I, they sometimes, ooh, this sounds so bad, but they will have grace on you for horrible mistakes. If you're fun and you have a great attitude, they'll be like, I ain't worried about that. Cost me $10,000, but man, this is awesome. Like, it's weird. It's literally the weirdest thing for certain people. But that is their inherent nature. I heard a saying probably 20 years ago, the best way to ride a horse is in the direction that it's going. So this person is a high I, this is their nature, that's the direction that it's going. Go with that flow. They want a party, give them a party. If they want a party, don't do the opposite. Don't be cold, dry, boring, robotic, and lame.
You have to match you can tell the minute they walk in the door or the minute you see them, just match their personality. And
100%. 100%. That's really good, Lauren. Secret need to a high S. I need to know that I'm safe. I don't even know what to say about this. Can you help me teach this one? Anybody? Why do you guys think a high S needs to be safe?
So I sit next to Crystal every day and she hasn't taken this. She's definitely an S.
Oh, yeah.
Every client she talks about, she, again, just wants to make sure that that person's taken care of. Obviously, I think we all want to make sure people are taken care of, but I'm like, again, there's a difference between like your inner circle and not.
Yeah.
We talk about like Lonnie's triangle and she's like, I've got 2,000 friends on Facebook. I'm like, oh, you got 2,000, but probably what, 400 of them are rich. She's like, no, probably like 1,500 of them. 1,500 of them are like top 2 parts of the triangle. So I'm like, she really does have this big like grasp for like caring about people. That's how she thrives. But she's also not the person who's like as bubbly as like an I would be. So she's very like caring, wants to do things together.
Yeah.
So again, what I try to think of the personality types of like people, I think Tim and Shelby are very good like descriptions of eyes. Like when I think of someone like that, it's
Brandy,
very bubbly, very
my
bright.
wife, you know.
Yeah.
Even Lonnie is very high I, like very, getting stuff done quickly, fun. He makes things, he's talkative, he's energized by that. But that's a great example of being safe. And
Hey,
then
I'm on here. Can I speak?
Sorry?
This is Crystal. I'm on your Zoom. Can I share?
Oh, hi, Crystal. I was like, is that Crystal? Yeah.
It is. Yeah. The reason I guess I need to know I'm safe is just from my past. And I don't know. It lets me be myself if I know I'm safe. It also lets me receive information and to trust the person. To know that they care and they're not going to use me or manipulate me or they have an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Um, so do you agree with what we're learning?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very, very helpful. I need the slide that asks the important questions of like if we don't answer those questions, then we've missed it. I didn't get those written down.
Yeah, no, I'll make sure everybody has the slides for sure. So thank you for that, Crystal. That's very, very funny.
You're
And then
welcome.
the last one, I'll come back to that here in a second, but let me show you guys this one. The last one is the calculation. They need proof. And by the way, the calculator, the analyzer, if you don't provide proof, there's like an unfinished big question mark sitting over your presentation, over your entire experience with them. And so always make sure that when you're dealing with the high C, that you come back with questions saying, do you need, is there anything else that you need? Is there anything that you're still wondering about, worried about? You feel you need more documentation? Why? Because you know there's secret sauce that I need proof. Now check this out. Here's what I want to end it with this little thing. The reason a D needs you to be competent, the reason an I needs it to be enjoyable, the reason an S is to me safety, like Crystal, the reason a high C needs proof is because a high D, this is what they thrive on being, is competent. This is what a high I thrives on. They thrive themselves. They feel alive when they're being socially fun and enjoyable. In other words, this is who they are. The reason safety is important for Crystal is because that's what she oozes. And if you don't reciprocate that, she's just kind of like wondering, like, wait a minute, like, what's off here, you know? And so the whole point is that I'm trying to tell you is people will function out of their inherent, like their nature and their behavior type. And the reason they need you to do it is because that's how they understand. That's how you connect. Now, I wanted to end it with this fun slide right here. This is a mission of all four of them together, wanting to dig a hole. Now, I want y'all to hear the main thing that each one of them wants to be done first. It's like priorities. And by the way, so when you look at behavior types, their core nature makes certain things a priority to them. So a high D is going to say, look, why do we even need to talk? Let's just dig it now. We'll figure it out. And I heard one place say, you know, in the high D's, like if the hole's in the wrong place, we'll dig it again. Who cares? What's the big deal? You know, kind of thing. So let's dig deep now. Let's dig now, deep. That actually is funny. Aren't y'all happy we got AI that we can create graphics like this? Look at the high I. This is gonna be epic. The C and the S, I mean, let's do this together. It's kind of like a connection moment. Snacks. Over here, this guy's got the power tools. This guy's got the fun, you know, goals. Big, fun, famous. It's like goals to make it fun. This guy's got the tools. He's bringing the tools. This guy's got the apparatus to make connection and comfort. This represents comfort and just basically like a what? Empathy. Empathy, and also like kind of like my role is to, if somebody gets a boo-boo, like I'm here. We're all gonna be good, kind of thing. And then the C. Before we dig, this is Darren's client. Before we dig, let's analyze every single variable. And you got checklists. If you notice, it's multiple pages in there. They know the soil type, the depth, the tools, the risks, the time, the efficiency. In order to get success, they got blueprints. They read 3 books. They got a calculator. They've got pens, a notepad. They're even skeptically looking at everybody else's stuff like, I thought this was a fun slide for this type of class. Because I think for me personally, like, think of digging a hole, obviously, as a house, whether they're buying or selling. If you have one of the four individuals and you don't know their world, their atmosphere, their essence of what makes them up, you can literally be working against who they are. So obviously this you showing up at this energy to this type of person may be very, very, very difficult. Is there anybody apart from Darren and Laura, any of the other rest of you, who have a client, like maybe you can see one of these four in them? Would you like to share as we close? Let's just take one or two more minutes and we'll be done. Anybody have any fun kind of example in real life with the client? Even you, Crystal, if you can hear us.
I couldn't hear you. I was trying to figure out my audio. What did you say?
Oh, just if anybody had like an example of any clients that you know, oh man, that guy is a high S or high C, or
My
anybody else?
sister-in-law is a D, and I'm having a hard time dealing with her.
Oh,
My closing that I had the other week, he was an engineer, he was definitely the calculator.
the high C.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one that kind of got weird? And
No, that one was definitely a IC,
oh,
100%.
oh,
But the one that I closed on, he was much easier to work with.
yeah. So he was a pleasant high C or more pleasant high C.
Yes.
I think Cs are the easiest to identify in real estate because
Yeah.
they're the ones that
Yeah.
just require more work. So you naturally are gonna just like see that the person's gonna ask for the seller's disclosures.
Yeah.
For all the showing details.
Yeah, that's
They're gonna
good.
require some more work. So I think in real estate, I think that C is the easiest one to identify.
That's good.
It's definitely the people that are easier to identify, like Laura said. When they stand out, then it's someone comes in, they're wearing like all pink and they're bright and bubbly. They're like, okay, I know you're an I, like easy.
That's Shelby
The
for
ones
sure.
That are a little bit, maybe more reserved and have some.
They start asking questions, like you said. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the ones where you have to ask some really powerful questions to understand them a little bit more, like how they
Yeah.
operate and like adjust to like how they are. And again, it's different when you're talking about real estate versus like their personal life, but I think when everyone's spread out a little bit, like Darren said, he's probably a mix of everything. It takes some further understanding to figure out like how they operate, meeting them where they are, not
Yeah.
how I operate.
Yeah. And by the way, I like what you said, because a high C, they will come in with more clues and hints. Like they do start asking questions. And they also, you may feel upfront like they're questioning what you're saying, kind of thing. And they are, but it's not from insubordination or some kind of an attitude. It literally is just the way they have lived their entire lives. And I know this, like I was a high C growing up. Like when I was 6 years old, one of my uncles introduced me to a digital microchip encyclopedia, and I started building digital clocks when I was 7, 8 years old. And I would ask a ton of questions. I've been doing technology since I was 5 years old, 6 years old. So 52 years old, 51 years old now. Like when I start asking questions, people are like, "Do you not trust me?" No, I just have literally, this is my nature. What else? What about, so I love what you just said about the high C. They are easier to recognize. What are some clues about the high Ds, like clients or people in general? What do you guys, after what we just learned, what are some other clues that like I like what you said, like they're more reserved, the high C, they maybe start asking questions. What about a high D? What are some clues that you guys?
If you're talking, they kind of cut you off
Yeah,
right
Yeah.
there. You're like, oh,
yeah,
I don't know where to go.
yeah,
I think you can misread a D or think someone might be a D if they're a warm lead from somebody else.
because they're like,
And they're like, tell me where to sign. I trust you because
yeah,
somebody
that's
recommended
good.
you. Then they pivot and
Yeah,
they start showing their real personality after that.
that's good. So after the process starts, and if you, then
Or
you
they
start
may
to see,
They may stay that way, but not really be a D
yeah,
because of the trust factor.
yeah. What were you saying?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
no, okay.
I was just gonna say, so can they be a D and then I guess they can just kind of have a little bit of the other stuff in them.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yes.
I was just thinking of past experiences working with a tight-knit leadership group. And when I first moved out here, I'm a high D, but I was a really high D and did some of the I wasn't even aware of it. But the person I answered to was a high C.
Okay.
And we butted heads at first. Even though we were good friends, we were having trouble getting things done. Because I couldn't understand, why don't you just, I've been doing this, why don't you just trust me with this?
Yeah.
So I eventually figured out that every time that I had an idea that I wanted to move forward, I had to do this homework. I had to prepare it, go in with a problem without 2 or 3 potential solutions.
Yeah.
And here's the research to support it, and this is what I would like to do. And then every single time it went through.
Yeah.
Do you know him like on a personal level as well?
Yes.
Do you think he's the same outside of business and work as he is that way?
Yeah, yes.
I was saying that's interesting because again, I can understand like as a business owner being
Yeah.
very analytical. You're running the business, like
Yeah.
you have to look at the numbers. It's very important.
Oops.
I wonder too, like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, is he in that situation? Like, is he the business owner because he has that personality type so that works well, or did he kind of become more analytical as he ran the business? And then does that make him more analytical outside of business?
Yeah.
I've taken a bunch of like, not like personality tests, but stuff like that, even as far as like what Hogwarts house are you in? Like, I've taken all kinds of stuff. just
Well,
for-
what?
Like what Hogwarts house
Oh.
are you in, or the Enneagram, or
The Myers-Briggs,
Yeah,
the
we take
Myers-Briggs.
all kinds of stuff like that. I like the disc a lot because there's just 4 options. It's like you can be a part of multiple. I think you can even like figure out who's a part of what like section too, just based off like the speed. So you can when you talk to someone, figure it out if they need speed or not. It's like, well, that might just be the D or the I.
Totally.
So without actually having to know what like part they are, I just like how it breaks it down. I think it's very visual. So I think when you can match them where they are, similar to like, love language with a partner, it's like my wife might really appreciate like quality time. So I don't need to say words of affirmation to her. I need to make sure I'm spending quality time with her. That's how she receives it. Same with your clients. If they receive information well, I need to make sure I'm showing up and bringing the information.
Yeah. I think we already discussed the high I. What do you guys, anything else on identifying high I's? Somebody said bright pink. It's kind of funny. Rachel's got bright pink on.
Yeah.
But what about like Shelby? Like she drives up. It's like an entire presentation of just pulling up. She's got like a show truck. She parks it near the street. Her picture's on it. She's like, party,
Those are the clients that are easy to identify.
They're easy to identify, yeah.
Always have.
Well, I will leave you guys with this one thought, and y'all brought up some good points about like, what if somebody's a little bit like Darren? Like, what if, or even like, I think it was the love language book. There was another one that the same author wrote. A guy named Gary Smaller actually wrote it. He talked about like how we wear different hats and stuff, and if like sometimes people like if at work they're drawing a sword and then they come home swinging the sword still. It's like learning how to change personas kind of thing. The biggest thing I can tell you guys is to ask questions and come from curiosity. And one power question that kind of helps you start an entire thread of discussion to discover what somebody is the simple question, just getting to know you, seeing your situation. What is important to you? That's it. Center some open questions around what is important to you. And people, whether they use this language that we discussed here or not, they're going to, when you ask them what is important to you, they're going to start to express some things that you can start to build a little bit of a case of clues. What is important to you? If somebody asks me, if my wife and I, which by the way, just so you guys know, so we've bought, I think we have our 4th house right now. And the one that we currently live in, we bought probably 9 years ago. And it was the last time we used a realtor. But our realtor, I drove the whole deal. I negotiated. I was like, and I didn't even realize it. She was kind of a newer agent. But for me, like if you would have asked me what's important to you, let's get it done. Let's get a decent deal and get it done. Please get it done. We need to move forward with this. And she was kind of like dragging her feet, unsure,
Yeah.
certain things. And to me, that was like torture. So if she would have asked me what's important to me, I said, let's get it done and do it quickly. So if you ask your client what's important kind of questions, open-ended, they're going to talk right out of their nature. A high S is not going to talk like what I just said, or a high C. They're going to say, I don't want to make a mistake. A high C is going to say, I need information. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. I want proof. I want paper. I want documents. So ask. What is important to you? And just listen and ask open-ended questions. Don't ask yes or no questions. Is finding the right house important to you? No. That's not yes or no. That's such a closed loop. Let's end it with this, my third closing. What are some good questions, like what's important to you type of questions that you can ask? What do you guys think? Lisa, what do you think? What's a good question to ask? Like different words, what's important to you? What's a different script for what's important to you? Thinking about a client.
I don't know, I'd like to know their preferred communication methods, because if they're a text message, that's usually pretty quick. If they want a detailed email report.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've been looking.
Yeah.
A lot of, if they don't want to have a phone conversation, that tells me they just want to, tell me what I need to know. And
Yeah. Anybody else? That's good. Anybody else?
I kind of try to remember to ask them kind of a long communication, but basically how much
That's hot.
communication. You see where I have to tell you everything.
Yeah, he had it last night.
You just kind of want me to hit the high points.
Yes.
And not bother you. Let me do what I do. And
Yes.
call you when something big is happening.
Yeah.
Tell me when to close. Where am I signing?
Yes. Well, I'll put this on there, and I should have made a slide, but the three top questions to ask is, what's your purpose, what's your pace, and what's the process? If you ask somebody about what kind of a process, like if they tell you, just come to my house 10 minutes and just go ahead, I'll sign it, and then you just do the rest and tell me where to sign. Like that process is a fast-paced, they're telling you specific process. But if somebody's process, like their purpose is, I'm just trying to get to know you, I want to make sure, and they tell you this long pace, their pace is very slow. Like they're more in jujitsu, they call it taking micro bursts instead of one massive explosion. They're called micro bursts. Somebody with a much slower pace is going to like little steps, like, hey, let's meet up for coffee. I just want to discuss. Like it's a little micro step. So the purpose, their pace, and the process. Asking them, like Lisa, what's the process? That those three questions, those three P's, are very good to help identify, like, what's important to someone. So match their energy for sure. So I am going to turn this into a PDF and probably within 30 minutes post it on our private group, just as a downloadable for everybody. So thank you for coming. I hope you guys learned something. So
Thank you.
Are you gonna put that picture in there?
yeah, everything, the entire thing will be in there. Thank you guys.
Cesar?
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, dear. I have some questions, so I don't have to text you.
Oh my God.
I'll be sick of my questions.